All right, first lesson of this pathway, we're going to go over how to add decimals. The first step when we're adding decimals is to line up the decimals. So we're writing the numbers and we're making sure the decimals are lined up, just like we did when we would compare them. This is really important because we want to make sure we're adding ones to ones, tenths to tenths, hundredths to hundredths, etc. Step 2 is to write zeros, just like we did when we were comparing. This is less important in adding, more important when we get to subtracting. So we write zeros so that they are the same length, and then we add like normal. All right, so we make sure we write them on top of each other, but we make sure we line up that decimal, then we have all of our numbers. Okay? Let's do some examples. So this first one, I have 2 and 39 hundredths plus 16 and 8 tenths. So again, sometimes it's helpful to write the decimal first and then to fill in the digits accordingly. Because notice how it's not like lined up with each other right now. It's kind of crooked. That's okay. The important thing is that we line up the decimals. Then I have my ones and my ones, my tenths and my tenths, etc. So then we can add a 0 to make them the same length. So 9 plus 0 is 9. 3 plus 8 is 11. So I write the 1 and I carry the 1 to the next place, just like normal. 1 plus 2 plus 6 is 9. And then I have my 1. The decimal just goes straight down. So I have 19 and 19 hundredths. Cool how that worked out. I didn't even mean for that to work out like that. All right, 71 and 45 hundredths plus 3 and 7 tenths. You will need to be writing these down. So when you're doing your practice, you'll need to get out a whiteboard, do it in your notebook, do it on your notes. There's not a lot of space, so sort of extra blank space, but if you want to do it on there, you can. Otherwise, you have lots of options. So notice again, I wrote them on top of each other. I lined up the decimal. Okay, there's my 2 decimals. Put a 0 on the bottom one because that one's shorter. 5 plus 0 is 5. 4 plus 7 is 11. 1 plus 1 plus 3 is 5. And I get my 7. So I have 75 and 15 hundredths, which makes sense because I have 71 plus 3 or 4. So it makes sense that I get a number close to 75. That's when rounding can be helpful. If I round each one to the nearest whole number, and I can say, does this answer make sense? Like this first one, I had 2 plus 17 rounded. 2 plus 17 is 19, so that makes sense that I got that. If I forget to line up the decimal, that would mess with it, and I'd be able to catch my mistakes because my answer wouldn't make sense. All right, 2 more. What do I do when I get a whole number that doesn't have a decimal to line up? Well, all whole numbers have an invisible decimal right there. Because think, 18 is the same thing as 18 and 0 tenths or 0 hundredths. Okay, I just don't have any parts. I could write that I don't have any parts. Usually I just write it as 18, but I could write it as 18.0 or 0.00, however many zeros I needed. In this case, 2 made the most sense because this one goes to hundredths. So after I add, just 2, 6, 11, 2, bring my decimal down, 21 and 62 hundredths, which again makes sense. 18, this would round to 4. 18 plus 4 is 22. 21 and 62 hundredths is very close to 22. All right, try the last one and then check and see if you got it right. All right, hopefully you paused it and did it. So let's see if we write 4 and 108 thousandths plus 8 and 54 hundredths. Again, notice I lined up the decimal. It won't end up lined up on the right away. That's why we add a 0, so it does end up lined up. 8 plus 0 is 8. 4 plus 0 is 4. 6 decimal and 12. So I get 12 and 648 thousandths, which hopefully is what you got. If you want me to do any more examples with you, let me know. Really, the main thing is just to remember, line up your decimals, add like normal, and just remember to bring down your decimal when you're done. All right, good luck.